My son texted me one morning, and the words cut deeper than any knife could. "You won't be joining us. My wife prefers to keep it only her family." I read the message over and over, hoping I had misunderstood, but no, the meaning was clear. My own child, the boy I had carried in my arms, fed with my own hands, and prayed for every night, was now telling me I wasn't welcome. Not because of something I had done, but because his wife did not want me there. I sat in my quiet kitchen, the sunlight falling across the old wooden table, and for a long while I couldn't move. My heart felt heavy, as though a stone had been placed inside it. Mothers give everything, our time, our health, our very lives, so that our children can grow strong and happy. And yet, in the blink of an eye, one short text can make you feel like you no longer belong. I thought back to the days when he was small, tugging at my skirt, begging me to come with him everywhere. "Mama, don't stay behind." And now, years later, he was asking me to stay away, to be left out. It wasn't just a rejection of a vacation invitation. It felt like a rejection of my place in his life. Tears came, but I wiped them quickly. A mother's love is strong, but even strong hearts crack when excluded by their own flesh and blood. I whispered a prayer for patience, asking God to give me the strength not to respond with bitterness. Still, deep inside, I knew one truth. Being told I wasn't invited wasn't about the trip. It was about where I now stood in my son's world. And that hurt most of all. I had already paid for the entire vacation, and oh, how my heart had danced while doing it. I imagined the joy on my son's face and the laughter of the grandchildren, and even thought perhaps his wife might soften a little when she saw how much effort I had put in. I wanted nothing fancy for myself, just moments together, the warmth of shared meals, the sound of little feet running along the hotel corridor, and the peace of sitting by the ocean as one family. That was my dream. I had saved for months, cutting corners where I could, skipping new clothes and unnecessary comforts. Every dollar went into that trip fund. I thought it would be worth it, to see them happy, to give them memories that would last a lifetime. You see, when you're a mother, you don't count the cost. You only think of the smiles your sacrifice can buy. I even imagined small details. The children holding seashells in their hands, my son finally leaning back to rest after years of working hard, and me quietly watching them all, content in the knowledge that I had brought them there. For once, I wanted to be the one who gave, not just in silence, but in a way they could all see and feel. But little did I know, while I was picturing laughter under the sun, decisions were being made behind my back. They accepted my money, but not my presence. The suitcase I had set aside for the trip suddenly looked foolish, sitting there untouched. The dream I had nurtured so carefully turned bitter in an instant. I had already paid for the vacation, but it seemed the price I paid wasn't just in money. It was in heartbreak. His cold words broke my heart as I sat alone with my tea. The steam curled up from the cup, blurring my vision, though maybe it wasn't the steam at all. It was the tears filling my eyes. I had brewed that tea the same way I always did, with just a touch of cardamom, a ritual that once brought me comfort. But that morning the cup felt heavier, almost mocking, as though it knew I was sitting there abandoned by the very child I had raised with love. I kept staring at the phone on the table, the message still glowing on the screen. Each word replayed in my mind like an echo that wouldn't fade. "You won't be joining us. My wife prefers to keep it only her family." How cruelly simple, how final. It wasn't just a refusal. It was a reminder that I was no longer seen as part of what I once called my own family. I thought back to years ago when I would bring him warm tea after long study nights, when he would look at me with grateful eyes and say, "Mama, you always know what I need." Now the same son could dismiss me with a message as though I were nothing more than an outsider intruding into their happiness. The tea cooled quickly, untouched, but I didn't care. My heart had grown colder than the cup. I sat in silence, the ticking clock in the corner reminding me that time moves on whether or not love remains. In that lonely moment, I realized something every mother dreads, that sometimes, no matter how much you pour into a child, they forget. And the forgetting hurts more than anything else. I froze all the bookings, tickets, hotels, everything, with one phone call. My hands trembled as I picked up the phone, but it wasn't from weakness. It was from the weight of decision. For days I had swallowed the hurt, sitting quietly, pretending perhaps he might call back, that he might realize his mistake. But no call came, only silence. And so I dialed the number of the travel agent, the same cheerful woman who had helped me plan every detail. Her voice was warm and unsuspecting when she answered, and I spoke gently but firmly. Cancel it all. Every ticket, every hotel, every car rental. Nothing goes forward. For a moment, there was silence on her end, then a hesitant, "Are you sure?" I smiled sadly to myself and replied, "Yes, I am. If I am not part of this family trip, then there will be no trip at all." The sound of her keyboard clicking was like music to my ears, each tap undoing the plans I had made with so much hope. I pictured my son and his wife opening their emails, expecting confirmations, only to find their precious getaway slipping like sand through their fingers. As I hung up the phone, I felt no regret. There was a calmness in me, a strength I hadn't realized was still alive in these old bones. For too long I had given and given, believing love would be enough. But love without respect is a wound, and I was tired of bleeding. That single phone call wasn't just about canceling a vacation. It was about reclaiming a piece of myself. And for the first time in a long while, I felt that my silence had been broken with a voice that finally mattered, my own. I told him, "If I'm not included, neither is my money," and ended the call. The words came out steady, though my heart was pounding beneath my chest like a drum. For years I had bitten my tongue, choosing peace over pride, choosing silence over confrontation. But that day, something in me shifted. My son had treated me like an afterthought, as though I were a purse to be opened when convenient and shut away when not. And I couldn't allow that anymore. He went quiet on the other end of the line, stunned. I could almost hear the thoughts racing through his mind. Perhaps he never imagined his mother, the one who always said yes, could finally say no. His voice wavered as he tried to explain, stammering excuses about how it was her idea, and it's only fair. But I had no energy left for excuses. My heart had been broken too many times by the people I loved most. So I said it once more, slow and firm, "If I'm not part of the family, then neither is my money. That is my final word." Before he could answer, I pressed the button and ended the call. My hands trembled as I set the phone down, but instead of tears, a strange calmness washed over me. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I had honored myself. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't vengeful. I was simply drawing a line where none had been before. That call wasn't just an ending. It was a beginning, a reminder that even a mother has a heart that deserves respect. And if my son could not see me as family, then he would learn that my money could not take my place.